Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm a huge book nerd. And this is Kelsey. She's my friend.
Hey guys.
She's also a book nerd.
Big one.
You're my library, always open for business, but you never show it. You're just sitting with it, but I know the score, and you're killing.
In honor of Banned Books Week, we are going to talk about banned or challenged books. First, let's talk about the difference between banned and challenged books. So,
I honestly didn't even know there was a difference. I had never heard the term challenged before.
Yeah.
In my research for this, I was like, what's that?
Apparently, in the United States, at least, books have not been banned at all since like 2014 or 15, which yay, that's so great. But challenged books are books that like parents or teachers or whoever writes letters like complaining about a book saying that it's inappropriate for whatever reason.
I don't want my child to read this.
I thought it was really interesting looking at like the reasons these different books are banned or challenged, because I even found some like infographics, which I might insert like right here so you can see them. But but a lot of the biggest reasons are like religious views, language, sexually explicit content, and homosexuality, which I was like, whoa, just rude.
Why?
Why? I don't understand.
But like what I found interesting was that like a lot of the books on the list I looked at were like books we read in school. Like it was our list of reading, because like we would have to read summer books. I don't know about you, but like we had to pick a book from a certain list and read it over the summer so we could talk about it at the beginning of the year, so we weren't like doing nothing over the summer, and it was like all of those books.
Yeah, and like I think that's really great, because I think that it's good to read controversial books because it's so important to like gain a wide perspective and have different viewpoints, even if they're viewpoints you don't agree with.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really get like banning books. Like,
No, don't do it.
no.
Don't ban your
You
books.
should be able to read whatever.
Well, it's like widening your lens. Like you gotta learn somewhere, and why not learn from people who are really, really good at writing?
Exactly, and like you don't have to agree with whatever a book is presenting, but you can form your own opinion on it if you're informed.
Because we were talking about Brave New World, and it's like, it's a great book.
It's
I don't want that to be the world I live in, but like...
No, not at all.
But that's also part of it, I think. It's like reading those books and learning what you don't want to do.
Yeah, it like scares you. Alright, so should we talk about some banned books that we have read?
Yeah, and we love them.
Yeah, so I've got a pretty long list. So let's just talk about Harry Potter, first of all. Of course, read that, and that's been extremely challenged for like anti-religious views and like anti-family views, and I'm like, it's fiction. It's not condemning religion or family.
Magic is tricky. It is tricky, and it's like I don't know why it has to be tricky, because like you said, it's fictional. It's like we all want to believe that we can, get a wand and go to Hogwarts. So I don't know why that's so bad.
Right. I think a lot of, especially religious groups, think of it as like Satanism, but it's not like there's not a good and evil battle in Harry Potter. Like we see the evil side of magic, which is
we know it's bad.
And we know it's bad.
It's very clear.
It's not like encouraging you to do dark magic or anything like that.
Come on, kids, let's all be like Voldemort. It's like no,
not at all.
No, and I think that J.K. Rowling makes it very clear who you want to be. Like,
oh yeah.
But even like Harry has his issues, and maybe that's part of it too. It's like he's not a perfect person, but none of us are. So
yeah. And like the values that are expressed in Harry Potter are all wholesome values.
Yeah, the values he learns along the way, like
and
friendship.
Literally, he learns about friendship, loyalty, courage,
yeah,
and
like all these things.
Like why would that be anti-family? I don't understand.
Maybe it's like because of his situation, like his.
I guess, but
they're saying step-parents are bad. Oh yeah, I guess it's not step-parents. It's like the Dursleys are like awful, so it's making you think that families are bad.
But then you have the Weasleys, who are like the best family ever.
Who knows?
But the next big one is The Lord of the Rings. I didn't find a lot of information on why that was challenged or banned, but I think it's again because of like the magical aspect. But that's also like it's written by a religious man.
Yes.
And the whole thing is like a metaphor for religion. So there's like a God figure and a Satan figure, and then like people who represent human beings, people who represent angels.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the temptation aspect I could understand. I guess people having trouble with that whole like being tempted by the ring and going crazy. But going along with the Christian thing, one of the ones I have, my favorite book growing up, like I had it where I had the book, and then I would like check out the audiobook from the library, and I would like listen and read over and over. It was Wrinkle in Time, which is funny because it's over and over. But like that's also by a very Christian author, Bible verses are a part of the story. Like, one of the gifts they give to the main character is a Bible verse saying that you can do this, you can go save your brother. And so, like, why? Like, are they thinking that it's taking it in a bad way, maybe? I haven't read it in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't read it since, like,
It's on my reread list.
There's stuff like The Adventures of Huck Finn, which is banned for racism. Which, that's a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
Because, like, it is racist because of, like, when it was written.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it also important to learn about racism?
Well, because it's like Uncle Tom's Cabin. It's like we learn about that in class, and we discuss why it's problematic.
Yeah.
But like what that teaches us.
Yeah, I don't know. And I read Huck Finn in school.
Yeah. It gets tricky when the things it's banned for, you can understand why it's banned. It becomes a grayer area. But still, yeah.
I still don't think anything
should be
ban
banned.
it. And then there's stuff like, just to quickly mention, like The Catcher in the Rye, Grapes of Wrath, The Great Gatsby, Invisible Man, Their Eyes Were Watching God, To Kill a Mockingbird.
But again, like all of these I read in school. Like,
yeah. And again, with To Kill a Mockingbird, it's like the racism thing again. But it's like anti-racist. Like there's racism in it, but the book is about...
whole point is about or not letting that be the reason you make the decision.
Exactly. Fahrenheit 451 is an interesting one.
It makes me laugh.
It's just because the book is about banning books.
It's about banning them and then burning them, and then you're like, well, now I have no books.
Yeah.
You know?
Just like, why would you?
But they would, like, the thing that I love is like they like memorize it, like pass it along, and like they try to keep it. And, oh yeah, it just makes me laugh. Because like the whole point of the book is saying like even if it's banned, you gotta like because books are so important. And then it goes on to be like that's banned.
Like why?
Why? Wait, why is that even?
I have no idea. I couldn't find any info on why that was banned.
This might be why. Okay. If the people who are banning 451, they're probably banning other books.
Yeah.
So if 451 was okay to read, people would be like, wait, why can't I read this?
Yeah.
And they would start questioning the people who are banning the books.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's banned? Because it questions their own authority?
Yeah. Maybe.
That's shady.
That is very shady.
That's real shady.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense. And then this is what's really funny, is like the ones that are banned, like Captain Underpants.
Yeah.
The Captain Underpants series, like I read all of them. They were completely stupid and like pointless, but like I thought they were funny.
I didn't really read them, but my brother read them when I was little. So like, I don't know.
I mean, it's just because it's like, my kids shouldn't be reading about underpants. It's like, we all wear underpants.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like they're weird
sometimes. Like we all wear underpants. Like, why is it so bad?
I don't know.
And I know it's probably, it has a lot of like potty humor in it, so maybe that's why.
And I also think parents and teachers kind of underestimate how much kids are exposed to in school, like with their classmates. Like I was exposed to like cussing at a very young age, just from like my peers.
And I feel like potty humor is inherent in the human condition. Like, it's just funny.
It is.
It
so like
be,
why?
But it is. It's like okay.
When I was looking at the challenged books, I found a lot of like YA contemporary that I was like, what? So there's like Eleanor and Park, which is challenged for language.
I haven't even read that.
I love that. Like Looking for Alaska, which is also banned for offensive language and like sex. Yeah. Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which, get this, is challenged. Is challenged for offensive language and atheism. Yeah, it was challenged for atheism, and I was like, you're not allowed to read about atheism?
Wait.
Yeah. Legit. Challenge for atheism.
I am really curious. After this, I'm honestly gonna go and like research who is banning these books.
1,639 of these challenges were in school libraries. 1,811 were in classrooms. 1,217 took place in public libraries. There were 114 challenges to materials used in college classes and 30 to academic libraries. There are isolated cases of challenges to library materials made available in or by prisons, special libraries, community groups, and students. There are banned books in college libraries?
That's weird.
Like, that's really weird to me.
That's
like,
weird.
I get...
You're a parent, and you're like, this is really concerning.
Like,
I can empathize with that.
Yeah, I could see not wanting, like, a 10-year-old to read, like, The Kite Runner, because there's like...
Yeah, you're like, ooh, maybe not. Maybe not yet.
I could see why a parent would want their kid to read it, but like banning it all together, I'm like, don't do that. Yeah, just use parental discretion.
Yeah, well, and it's like these books could open up a conversation between you and your kid about things that can help them like grow up.
Right, yeah.
Like learn things about the world. Like Handmaid's Tale.
Ooh, yeah.
Like I don't know where that would be even read. I didn't read it in school.
I didn't read it.
It would probably be a high school level.
Yeah, I
if
could
at
see
all.
it. I could see it being read in a high school class.
Yeah, because it's like that brings up really important and very topical issues today about, you know, what it means to be a woman. Like what it means to have your freedoms taken away.
Yeah.
Holes? What?
I think Holes
I
was
guess I
also
get
challenged for language.
language.
It's also kind of disturbing.
Yeah, well, it's like the whole past history thing with like what happened to the sheriff, whatever
Yeah.
the sheriff, the warden, whatever happened to her and that guy, and
It's
how-
just like,
that has race stuff in it too.
It does.
Maybe that's why.
yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of books that were banned for like homosexuality, which I'm like, come on. Like reading about homosexuals is not going to turn your kid gay if that's what you're worried about. I hate it.
And I get it in a Catholic school, I guess, or a Christian mindset.
But
I don't agree with that, but like,
it's just the idea that like reading about homosexuality or learning about it is going to make you gay. Like that's not how it works. And that
well, and it's like that humanizes people. Like if you truly believe that like homosexuality is like bad, reading a book about a homosexual main character could help you realize that it's not black and white. Like
yeah,
they're humans.
yeah, like they're not.
We're all
bad
humans.
people. Yeah.
We're all humans.
One thing I thought was interesting to talk about is like 13 Reasons Why. And another one that I didn't actually find on like the banned or challenged books, but All the Bright Places, which is also about suicide. It might be easier to talk about 13 Reasons Why because a lot of people have either read it or seen the Netflix series. And it's just talking about suicide in possibly not the best way.
There's been a lot of debate about it, yeah.
Because it could be potentially like encouraging people who are already contemplating suicide to like take the leap. That's definitely not the intention behind them, certainly, but like there's the question of if it does.
Yeah, it's like, is there merit in having the conversation? Is there merit in maybe making a mistake and then talking about why it was a mistake? Or again, like, do we ban it? Do we censor it? It's like, well, even if it's not the best interpretation, does that mean we should ban it?
Right, and I don't think we should ban it. I think that that's another point where like parental discretion should come into play.
Or like your own if you're like older.
Right,
Do
your
you
own.
want, like I have not watched the Netflix series.
Really?
Yeah, I'm choosing not to watch it because I just feel like I've read a lot about the discussion that occurred from it, but I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion. I just don't want to watch it. So
I think
that was my choice, knowing the argument, but like I
Right.
educated myself about the argument. So I was like, well, if it causes argument, then
yeah. And I think like for me, I've read several books about suicide now at this point. I actually recently finished listening to Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock, which is another YA about suicide. And after having read several about suicide, I think it's interesting to see which ones I feel handle it better. And I mean, I don't have any personal experience with depression or suicide, so I'm not like a great source for that. But like Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock is from the perspective of a boy who's planning to commit suicide at the end of the day.
wow.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to be able to get inside his head, and it's also terrifying. And that's the kind of thing I wonder if someone's depressed and they read that, and like I don't want to give any spoilers away if you want to read that book, but like I think it handles it pretty well. And then there are other books like All the Bright Places that like glorify it and make it romantic, and I'm like,
And you're like,
no,
But it's like, how do you place a warning on that?
trigger warning.
Yeah, but it's like at this point there are people who are even against trigger warnings. It's like just read the book or don't read the book. And I'm like, my opinion is like, you have to be able to. We have the ability to read these books, and like they're challenged some places, but like she said, in America, like it's not banned anymore. So it's like, because you have that freedom, it's like up to you to know thyself.
Yes.
Know yourself and like know what you can handle and know what you want to read and know what you are a little nervous about reading. It's like a great gift to be able to read everything. It's your prerogative then to decide
Right.
what you want to read.
Yeah.
Reading is fun.
Yes, it is. Just to mention, one of my favorite books of all time is apparently a challenged book, which I didn't know, and that's The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. And like, what? It's about, okay, so have you read it?
No.
Oh, okay. It is about Vietnam, like the war in Vietnam.
Okay.
And Tim O'Brien was actually a soldier in Vietnam before he became a writer. So he tells this story that like plays with the idea of truth, like factual truth versus emotional truth.
Cool.
Yeah. So he tells, I love it so much. So he tells these stories that are like not factually true. Like for example, he tells a story about him shooting someone in Vietnam, and then later you find out that he wasn't actually the person who pulled the trigger. But he tells it as if he did because that's how he feels.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It's so cool.
Oh, that's cool.
I love it so much. And
That's very
I
cool.
bet it was challenged for language, but like get over it.
It's like, it's such a good book.
Yeah, like the ideas in it are so important, and like
trust me,
your kid has experienced bad language. Just like
yeah, they're gonna.
like I
If
went
they
to
don't
Catholic
know, they
school
will.
and I had bad language like in my life from a young age. So just
Yeah, they're words, and you use them when you use them.
Yeah,
I guess it's easier to ban a book that uses them rather than ban using them. So.
yeah.
And have you read Grendel?
I have read Grendel.
Was Beowulf on any of these lists you found?
I didn't find
I didn't find
Beowulf.
Beowulf, which I was like, why Grendel and not Beowulf? Because if
That's
you
very
don't know,
interesting.
Beowulf is the original story, and then it's Beowulf versus the monster Grendel. That's like the whole arc of the.
Right.
It's Beowulf finding it.
I
You have
have-
it,
yeah.
and read Beowulf first. Like read it, get through it, and then read this gem. Who was that? Okay, Grendel, John Gardner. Yes, and
Yeah.
it's so this book is the story of Beowulf, but like a little bit before Beowulf actually shows up, and it's the story of the monster.
Yeah.
It's like from its point of view.
It's
and
like the ultimate
so-
empathy book.
It truly is. It's like a common thing to go back and be like, oh, from the other side, like the Maleficent movie that just came out, like one of those kind of things.
This is like the original.
I know
Because
it's
when was this
so-
written?
Beowulf
was
is very old.
This is 1989. Wait. 1965.
What? The fight you feel of this character in his own mind is like
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, it's really
So good. So I don't know why that's banned, and the other one isn't. Because
And,
both
like-
are violent, you know. If that's
Right.
what they don't like, then I don't know.
interesting.
Interesting.
So then we can move on to banned books that we haven't read but want to read.
Ah, yes. Okay, I'll start.
Okay.
Persepolis by, I believe it's pronounced Marjane Satrapi, I believe. She's an Iranian woman author, so I'm all about women authors right now.
Yes.
And it's a graphic novel. It's not a regular book. And it's telling the story of her life during and after the Iranian Revolution.
Interesting.
But it's like in story form with pictures. So it's like gonna be so cool. There's also a sequel. So the cool thing about this book is it's not just a narrative, it's a Bildungsroman. It's her story of coming of age, like how she is who she is.
Right.
Because I know it takes her through her journey of like, I think she got married and then they divorced and she moved to France and that's where she wrote her book, and so I'm just really looking forward to it. I read like the first couple pages on my friend's bookshelf and I like picked it up because I was like, I've seen this, and I opened it and I was like, it's so pretty.
Ooh.
And then I had to leave. And then she moved. So it's very sad.
man.
I know. So I gotta get a copy of this book.
Oh.
If you have a copy of this book, let me know. I want to know why it's banned too.
Yeah.
Unless
that
it's just
seems
because
weird.
it deals with war. Maybe it's got some violence, some language.
Probably. It's probably language or sex. Those are the usual
Yeah,
culprits.
something like that.
One of the books that I want to read that's banned is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. And Lolita, I hear it like talked about a lot on like BookTube and Bookstagram, but it's basically about this man who falls in love with like a 12-year-old girl. So it's like pedophilia, but it's written as a love story, which I think is really interesting. And it's one of those things where I feel like I'm gonna be grossed out the whole time. But I just,
like super and like, oh god.
I just really want to participate in that feeling.
Well, and it's like it's one of those books that's referenced
Yeah.
all the time. It's like my rule book. It's like if I hear it mentioned 3 times, I gotta add it to my list because it's important. It's that important
Yeah, that's a good rule.
to know like what it is.
Right, yeah. And there's just something about having like the base knowledge so you know where other people are coming from.
Yeah, common language. And then I think we both want to read Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde.
Yes, definitely.
Which I can't believe I haven't read yet.
I know.
I can't believe it.
It's one of the classics that's been on my list for a very long time, but I just I have to be in the mood to read a classic.
Yeah,
You know?
it's hard.
It is hard because I feel like once I get into the language of a classic, then I'm okay. But
Yeah.
the first 75 to 100 pages is a struggle.
I gotta. It's like changing your mindset to be flipping your brain a little bit just so it can read the language.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But I've read Oscar. We both have read Importance of Being Earnest,
Yes.
which is a play. So I'm interested to see how Oscar Wilde's voice comes through in a novel.
Yeah,
Not a play.
definitely.
I
And
always
you found some really interesting information.
Oh
about
my
why
gosh.
it's banned.
This is so cool. Okay, well, bad, but cool at the same time. So, immediately after publication, the book was banned in every single English-speaking country. Europe and America and
my
more,
gosh.
without exception. And then later in 1930, after it was stolen and translated into Arabic, then it was read. And the bannings were because the countries felt that the book had explicit sexual content, which I guess it does, because he kind of goes nuts. From what I know of it, he loses himself, loses a part of himself in this quest to stay young forever.
Yeah, but I also think isn't that the point of the book? Is that he is becoming uglier for doing these things?
His portrait is getting uglier while he looks the same, but the portrait is reflecting who he is as a person.
Right, exactly.
But for it to be effective, it's he's got to do some real bad stuff.
Right, yeah.
Really bad stuff.
Yeah, that just makes me want to read it even more.
I know, I'm what is it?
I'm I want to read it.
Yeah. Reading a banned book, you put your glasses on, you're
you hide in your closet.
time now.
It's great. Yeah, so one last book that I actually have in my TBR pile that is banned, was banned, that I really want to read, is American Psycho. And this I've heard is banned because it's incredibly violent. I've heard that this is so disturbing that some people vomit reading this.
It's a movie, right?
Yeah. Apparently the movie's less disturbing than the book, which I
that's
believe.
typically how it goes. With
Yeah.
movie adaptations.
It's true. But this I've heard is just the ultimate freaky serial killer story.
Don't read it at night.
I feel like this is something that I'm gonna try to read this fall because it'll be
a good spooky.
a good spooky read.
Spooky Halloween book. I mean, am I allowed to ask them to post?
Oh yeah.
Because I would love to know what you guys are reading that is banned or would like to read that's banned. Because like we said, banned books are cool. They're it's a little forbidden. So.
Yeah, totally. So I really hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave comments down below and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye!